Owning a dental practice is like having a 4-year-old child that never grows up. 50% awesome, 50% annoying, and 100% exhausting. On Talking Nachos, we help you increase success, decrease stress, and most of all, reduce the number of times you feel like crying inside a day. I have an awesome sponsor and guest on today. Would you share with us who you are and what you do to help dentists?
Yeah, my name is Ben Friberg. I'm a dentist in Wilmington, North Carolina. Oh, the company is Friberg Advisors, and we help dentists kind of get their teams on board to the goals that you have for your life and vision for your practice.
That's surprising that people need you because I remember all those good dental school lectures about getting your team up. There was none of those. Lots on the Krebs cycle, lots on things that you don't need about how to make a mediocre bite rim. But getting your team on board would be a big part of it because as a dentist, own two dental practices, two companies I thought up in my head, and I have amazing teams. And not but I say, men, sometimes you bring a new idea to your team and they resist it, right? Sometimes you bring a new idea to your team and they're confused. Sometimes you bring a new idea and you think we all got it. And then 3 days later, nobody's got it. Okay. So
That's right.
tell us about the pain you see, whether it's in your own personal practice or with the people that you work with, about this team on board challenges.
Yeah, I just got off a call with one of my clients, and we were talking about screening for sleep apnea. It's one of his new endeavors in his practice to help his patients with OSA. And his hygienist isn't screening like she should. And his front desk isn't giving him the reports that he wanted. And so we talked about leadership. Like, what are the things that you're doing to make sure that these things are happening and that they are motivated, that they're well trained? And so we ended up having a conversation with this hygienist that we talked through and realized that she didn't fully understand the benefit to the patient.
Yeah.
And after he coached her and taught her the why behind what they're doing, she jumped on board and is super excited and kind of leading the charge. And so that's the stuff that we like to talk about is when we don't get implementation from our team, what are the strategies, tactics, and mindset that the leader needs to have to adequately communicate to that person to get the results that they want? Because a lot of dentists think like robots. I said this, you do that. And then they don't do it. And then they get mad and they realize that those are human beings with their own personal motivations, personal reasons for coming to work, though they have their own why. And as the leader, it's our job to tap into their why, to get them motivated to achieve the things that align with your vision for your practice.
I love what you shared there. Sometimes I say in my family that I was acting inconsistently, and my daughter says that's what your mommy says is your word for hypocritical. And it's right, right? Because I have a question about these leaders. Where are those? Like, the same leader who wants their hygienist to do the sleep apnea screening, but doesn't finish all their chart notes in the week, right? The same leader. So leadership's a two-way street and accountability is a two-way street. And I've learned that in painful ways and positive ways because you have to role model that yourself as well with these whys because I like that robotic I said this, you do this has worked precisely never times, right? Even though we want
That's
it
right.
to work. Talk to me next. I'm a 2002 grad. When did you graduate from dental school?
15.
15, so you're a lot younger than I am.
Yeah.
They don't talk about leadership in dental school. They don't talk about coaching. The thing I can relate this to is, in the 80s, not many people thought about mental health fitness. And now
Mm.
it's important to have mental health fitness. And mental health fitness can come in all different ways. It can come with therapy, it can come with coaching. And now I'm talking about people's personal lives. Now I'm going to be back to practice owners. I
Yeah.
heard this good quote, it wasn't mine, that when you work with a coach, you can't believe that other people don't work with coaches. And when you don't work with a coach, you can't believe anyone would waste money on coaching. So I want you to talk to someone now who's watching this on Dental Nachos, who's in a state of, I don't feel like I'm making enough money. I feel like my practice is running my life. But I heard about these coaches, but they're like a waste, right? Like I don't need someone to come into my practice and like tell me what to do. I should know it all myself. And
Mm.
I find that dentists say it's about money, and I don't think it's about money. It's about being challenged to change. It's about having to do things differently. So talk to that practice owner about why
Yeah.
you should consider coaching.
So I related this to one of my patients who's a professional baseball player. We were sitting around kind of chatting after a hygiene check about my coaching business, and I was asking him about his coaches. He has a catching coach, a hitting coach, a nutrition. He has a genetic nutrition. He has a physio. Like he has 6 coaches for every single thing he's trying to optimize in his career. He doesn't just because he's a professional athlete. He realizes he needs more and more coaches to optimize what he does.
Right.
And that's the same for dentists, right? The complexity of a dental practice and the number of ways that you can either make money or lose money, right, is so complex. And so if you want to get to those higher echelons of profitability, work with people who have done it, who have ran businesses before, who understand these things, and help you hone in to become the sharpest tool you can, rather than
Right.
trying to burden this all on yourself and say, I'm smart. I know the Krebs cycle as best as
Yeah.
anybody, so I should be able to lead a multi-million dollar team, right? So that's where coaching comes in, is it helps level you up. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know how other people are doing it. It gets you out of that vacuum of solo practice, dental practice. So that's kind of the
I'll
big
give
picture.
it. I love what you're sharing here, and I love that you use the baseball analogy. I give this credit to my friend Dr. Christian Mullen, who's had multiple coaches. He said, "I played high level soccer, and I couldn't watch myself play soccer. I needed my coaches." It's actually as simple as that. You can't watch yourself play the game of what I call dentisting basketball. When you're in the operatory and talking to your team and running the practice, you are fully invested in the game, and you need someone from outside of that game to look in and say, "Here's a weakness. Here's a strength. Here's a problem. Here's someone with the team." You don't even see this with your team member. We're doing Super Dentist Boost Camp, and many of the campers are saying, I want this question answered. I need to know about how to buy a practice or how to scale practice. And I said, when you
Yeah,
come to Boost Camp, you're going to learn the answers to those questions. But what's more important, you're going to learn what questions to ask you didn't even know about. And that's a bigger skill.
absolutely.
That's what coaches like you do help people. They want to know, how can I get my assistant to show up on time next week? And you say, I can help you with that, but you're missing 4 or 5 things. So I love that. I've always had coaches, always been open-minded to it. Um, but I will share that I regret not having a coach look at my practice numbers earlier in my career. That wasn't as
Mhm.
popular, Ben, back in the 2008 times, right? Back in the 2008 time, people didn't talk about CBITA, what I call SBITA, which is stress building inside towards dental annoyance, and EBITDA. So I love that. Now, before we wrap up, I love as someone who's the Facebook guy, I am 47 years old, and
Yeah.
I love face to face even more when you can
Hmm.
meet people. And you run programs where dentists get to meet each other. If they come to one of your programs, people can text
Yeah.
Friberg to 215-543-6454 to find about your coaching and programs. They can reach out to us at dentalnachos.com. But what are these programs like, and what do they get out of it?
So we hold a 2 day intensive retreat that's limited to 12 dentists so that we can have really good human to human interaction. It's not a room of 50 to 60 people with someone standing on a stage just talking at you for 2 days. This is a 14 credit, highly focused retreat to help you learn how to lead, manage, and market your practice to create profitability and fulfillment.
I love that. I mean, that's the magic of those things. I've done them on all sides. I've taught small group implant classes. I got introduced to my friend Dr. Todd Fleischman. He does one on the new patient experience. When you have these 6 to 15 group things that happen, it not only is it valuable, it's also just a lot of fun. I'm
Yeah.
about as extroverted as you can get. But even me, if there's like 70 people and you're like, got to talk to 70 different people for a weekend, it's a lot. But when there's 12 people that you get to know as not just professionals, also as people, I've shared that those are people you can rely on after. I mean, that's what this thing about coaching, and maybe you can share on both sides. Have you ever been part of a program where you stayed friends with people afterwards and now you talk about sports or vacations and nothing about dentistry? And you're like, man, I'm glad I met a new friend.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And
And that's the thing, like human connection in dentistry, dentist to dentist is so difficult. One, because we're alone most of the day in our practices as the doctor and the owner. And so we're separated from our team and our staff because of that knowledge and power
yeah,
difference. But also the ego between dentists can be tough. You never want to admit that this is really hard and we struggle.
yeah.
So these environments kind of strip away that bravado and it creates, we create intentional vulnerability so that people actually connect and talk about their challenges so we can actually grow.
I,
So,
I, I love that. One of the things I share, and it comes with altruism and selfishness as the founder of Dentist Job Connect, also a Nacho sponsor, is I share, and I know you're a solo practitioner, like the hygienists hang out with each other, the assistants hang out with each other, the front desk, it should be a meme or a reel of a dentist eating a sandwich by himself, no friends in this office. And
that's right.
the associate comes in and says, I'll nerd out with you about the Krebs cycle. And I'm not joking. That has been a big part. Like Dr. Todd Fleischman, who I concurs, he's like, I will not go back to practicing alone because you feel alone. But until that happens, you can use these coaching groups. You can use people that you've met and share that this isn't working for me, what's working for you. I really compliment you on not just doing one-on-one, but also bringing your group together. So before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to share with our Dental Nachos community? You've shared so much value in the group. I appreciate your comments. You're authentic, you're vulnerable. Anything else you'd like to share with our group?
Um, One, I love the nachos.
Thanks.
I've been a member for a long time, and the podcast and everything. Um, I'm an open book. I hold nothing back. So if anybody ever has a challenge, has a question, needs to bounce an idea off of another dentist, reach out to me. I'm available. I'm easy to contact, and let's go through this dentist thing together rather than separate. So
I love that message. It's a whole part of our learn, laugh, and feel less alone. Well, thanks
yeah,
so much, Ben, for supporting us as a sponsor and helping our community grow. We truly appreciate it.
thanks, Paul.